All right, hello and welcome everyone. This is Peter Ryman. It's November here in Massachusetts. The season is over. Very sad time of year. I always hated, frankly, being a Massachusetts kid growing up and loving golf this time of year. Always wished I lived somewhere else that was warmer. However, now we have indoor facilities, and this has become an excellent period of the year to evaluate the season we just had and begin to formulate a plan for the next year and start to implement that plan. And I think for most of us, that means starting with our setup, okay? Now, I will say specifically, if you are a competitive player, you should be looking at your data and your metrics in your game. You should be looking at your fairways, your greens. You should be looking at your shots inside 100 yards. You should be looking at your putting, your lag putting, your short putts, and really understanding where you can gain strokes relative to your competition. That is true, I guess, for all of us to some extent, but if you are a competitive player, you really should be doing that. Okay, now specifically though, in terms of the swing itself, what I want to talk about today is some of the basics of setup. My students, all the lessons I give late in the season, it seems like people have played themselves into unusual static conditions with respect to their setup, okay? They are responses generally to something they're doing in their swing, and then they start to tweak something that's a little bit off kilter and a little weird that makes their ball fly a little bit better in the short term. In the long term, that's not going to work. And then in the long term, we should be striving for optimal setup conditions that prescribe to a gold standard, or at least get close to it, so that our swing responds to those setup conditions. Okay? So the best way to fix a swing fault, I've found, is to make sure that we drive home a great setup first, and then the body will respond to that, okay? So some of these elements would include grip, posture, and stance. And that's what this video is all about, G.P.S, grip, posture, stance. Grip first. There's so many things we could talk about with grip. I will just tell you this, grip is so important. The more I teach and the older I get, the more I appreciate the value of having a good grip. I think there are some great players out there that underappreciate the grip and they take it for granted, and their ball starts to get a little skewed one way or the other. Fix your grip. Make sure your grip is right, and I guarantee your ball flight will respond immediately. It has the most dramatic effect in terms of what the ball does. So grip. What I want you to try and do here today is let your arms just naturally hang at your sides. Let them just chill. And we'll focus on our left arm first. And what I want you to do is leave your left arm where it is. It's going to have a certain amount, likely, of internal rotation here, and just leave it. And then take the club and go ahead and put the club in that hand, keeping that same amount of internal rotation. And go ahead and just grip it. So for me, it means making sure that this logo on my glove, right? So there's my arm hanging. My logo goes this way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep that logo pointed at the same corner of the room here as I go ahead and put my hand on the club and make sure my club face is square down there. Okay? There's a good left hand, right? Right hand, same thing. We're going to let this thing just naturally hang down here. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move the club over here, and we're going to grip it. And we're going to make sure we, A, cover our thumb here with our right thumb pad a little bit. But this arm should more or less be in the same orientation that it was when it was hanging at your side. If you do that, you will probably, assuming your hands don't naturally hang this way too much and they look a little bit internally rotated, you will probably end up with a grip that somewhat resembles the old Hogan, hey, let's get this V pointed up towards our right, and let's get this V pointed up here towards the middle. You'll probably be pretty close to that, okay? So, and another way to kind of think of it, your knuckles here on the back, your second lifeline knuckles, so these guys right here, they're probably going to all more or less line up back there. Now you can't really see it too well in this glove, I feel like, but here's my knuckles right there. Here's my knuckles right here. They're more or less lined up there, and if I were to go ahead and unfurl my hands and look down the line of the club, you would see on my second lifeline, there's one lifeline, there's two, there's three, there's one, there's two, there's three. It doesn't matter how you think of it. Here's my second lifeline. It forms a nice nook, a little hook there. That second lifeline with both hands should be holding the club. The club should be nested right in there. I also like to do this. I like to take a look at the right hand, the trigger finger. I like to see the thumb shortening as we grip the club. It also helps put it in that second lifeline in our fingers. Here's a little piece of tape between my punching knuckle and my right forefinger knuckle, right? If that little piece of tape points back here towards the viewer, opposite of my target line, then you probably have a pretty good neutral right-hand grip on there as well, all right? Great way to check your grip. Take the club, put it on your shoulder, and just throw it out in front like you're casting a fishing rod or chopping an axe right in front of you. Now, if you can throw it out in front and catch it, and your club face is square and it points towards your target, you probably have a pretty good grip. If you're throwing it out in front and your club face is going one way or the other, it's looking open or closed, you need to reevaluate how you put your hands on the club. And again, you need to get back towards something that is comfortable and how your arms naturally hang. If you can't just cast this club in front of you and get the face to look square in front of you just by a cast motion, how the heck are you going to turn your body to 90 degrees, sequence everything, and then move back in with slightly open hips, slightly open shoulders, and then get the club face square at the bottom? You're probably not going to be able to do that, right? That sounds really hard. So start with this. Make sure you can throw it out in front of you and get it square first, okay? So that's grip. I spent a lot of time on that because it's so important. It's the most important thing. It controls our plane, our face, our attack angle, our launch angle, low point control. Holy smokes, grip is so important. Posture. What I'd like you to remember from posture is 2 points of contact, fingertips to the top of your kneecap. So 2 points of contact. You're going to take this club, you're going to put it right here on your back spine. First point of contact is base of spine. Right down here, just above my butt at the base of the spine here. Second point of contact is right up here between your shoulder blades. And you just want to have this club now putting a little bit of pressure on those 2 points. You're going to feel that, and you're going to bend from the hip joint. Now here's where the fingertips to the tops of the knee come into place. You're going to take your left hand off for a moment, right? And you're going to just let that left hand, it's going to slide down. You're going to reach it down your left leg. And if you can get that left hand just to the top here of your kneecap, just above the top of your kneecap, you're going to be in a good postured position, okay? So 2 points of contact, fingertips go down, right? Good posture. Now let's talk about the stance, and what I'm going to include with stance is distance to the ball. So I'm going to start with distance to the ball. I call it the rule of thumb. So you're going to take your left hand out. I do all this with my left hand, by the way, because I want this club, the handle over my left side, the club head in front, the handle in front of the club head. So give me a thumbs up, all right? You go 2 points of contact, bend, check, make sure that your left hand is at the top of your left knee. You're going to go thumbs up. You're going to stick this thumbs up right here into your thigh. And now you're going to go ahead, you're going to put it at the height of the butt end of your club here. Make sure your club face is square, okay? Like so. And then go ahead and we'll put our right hand on the club without moving the club. And then we'll put our left hand on the club. What you'll find if you do those few things is you're in an athletic posture, your hands are below your shoulders, and you're the correct distance from the golf ball now. And the club should be resting nice and flush. Okay? Last thing with the stance and the setup piece here would be width of stance and ball position, right? I tell you, don't play the ball too far back in your stance, all right? This whole thought process of start your wedges on your right foot, then move it to your left foot, it's not good. I see people who do that. They were taught that in a golf school years ago. They went to some budget golf school and they were told, oh, start it right so you can hit ball first, ground second. They do that, you know, that they are hitting ball first, ground second, but it develops a habit in the swing of learning to throw everything over your right side and get stuck on your right side. And by the time you move into a longer club, you're so far behind it that there's no way you can get the handle forward and compress the golf ball. It just develops that habit of swinging on your right side. So even with your wedges, I would tell you, be very weary of moving the ball too far back in your stance. I like to see it start middle and work forward. Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods, if you watch video of them hitting short irons and wedges, you actually see that they're still generally slightly forward of center, okay, which can help create a slight cut often. And they did hit a lot of cuts, or Tiger for sure hit a lot of cuts with his irons, but slightly forward develops a better habit of body pivot, carrying angle, releasing angle on the left side. Okay, so something to be aware of there with ball position. In terms of width of stance, this will be the last piece. Seek something narrow. Don't go too wide. A wide stance is certainly one of those playing conditions I see people create late in the season, and they do it as a band-aid. They do it as a means because their hips stop turning and they start substituting hip rotation for slide. And when we go really wide, it allows us to slide a little bit. But if you want to accelerate this club head, you're going to be much better off learning to rotate your hips rather than slide your hips. Okay? Rotational force outweighs transitional horizontal force all day. So, grip, posture, stance. A lot of pieces to go through there, but I want you to take your time. This was a long video. I haven't posted a video this long in a while, but there's a lot of good stuff in here, people, a lot of gold, and we have a long off season. Take your time and go through the grip elements. Make sure you get a grip that's right for you. Throw the club out in front of you. Make sure you get it square. Start with that. Look at your posture. Remember the 2 points of contact. Let the hand move down the leg until you get just above the kneecap so that you know how far to bend from the hip joint. Find your distance from the ball. As you get your stance here, find your distance from the ball with a rule of thumb. This works great for all of your mid-irons. It gets a little bit longer for a driver per se, but this works great for most of the clubs in your bag. Okay? Get the correct ball position, not too far back, and get the correct width of stance, not too wide. Okay? I would much rather see narrow and flary feet than wide and pigeon feet. All right, so I hope that's helpful. I'll let you all chew on this. We got Thanksgiving coming up, so chew on this as you chew on your Thanksgiving turkey. And I'm looking forward to posting some more videos this off season and helping all of you out with your golf swings. And it's going to be a great year. Formulate a plan and execute it this off season, folks. Cheers.